I got arrested first time when I was just under 18. 2 years later, I went to prison, and then I had to leave the country. So I left very, very early in my life.
Have you ever wondered who the person is behind the remarkable success of your favorite television station, Islam Channel? Why Iran?
We were obsessed with revolution. So to combine the two, being religious and at the same time revolutionary, it wasn't common. It was something new.
What was your standpoint at that point? For Moran or you're Sunni?
Of course I am Sunni. I don't know how to compromise, so I couldn't compromise anything. That led me to confrontation.
How did you feel when your country put you on Interpol's red list?
International police, Interpol, should not and must not get involved in political matters.
What was life like in jail?
I think it's the worst institution mankind created. You are no more than days, and every single day goes, some of you gone.
You're my inspiration, Mohamed Ali Harrath. Welcome to the show.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for, it wasn't very easy to get this sorted, but alhamdulillah, I'm so happy that we've made it today. Let us begin. Now, for our viewers who don't know Mohamed Ali, because quite naturally they wouldn't know because you never show your face, you stay behind the scene. So give us a early context into your life as far as you can go in your childhood memories, so people can appreciate who Mohamed Ali is.
Bismillah ar-Rahman. First of all, thank you for having me, and thank you for your viewers and listeners for having an interest in knowing about a small person like myself.
Not small, inshallah.
Yeah, I'm originally Tunisian. I was born in Tunisia like everyone else. I went to public schools there, then to private school. Grew up within the late 60s, early 70s in Tunisia. I come from a very humble family, nothing special, other than we are just a very conservative family with the Tunisian standards and Arab standards. And my family were involved in the struggle against the French occupation. So my great-grandfather was one of the fighters, a tribal fighter against the occupation when they invaded Tunisia back in 1881. And my father, during the independence, he went to prison. And so my older brother, who passed away now, was in guerrilla warfare. So I grew up within those circumstances. At the time of the 70s and 80s as well, we have the leftist movement, which dominating the whole world. You have the Soviet Union, you have the Eastern Bloc, and you have the guerrilla war in Latin America, even in Spain that time, and Portugal and Greece. They were dictatorships there. So we got our inspiration from there. Then comes the Iranian Revolution, gave us more inspiration. The invasion of the Soviet Union to Afghanistan. And I grew up with those circumstances surrounding us. So that's my start.
And what age? So between what age? So was it since your birth till you?
Well, I got involved in my early life. So at the age of 12, when I finished primary school, that's when we started being active. Like my generation, my generation, we started getting active in our early days. I got arrested first time when I was just under 18. So. Wow. You can say I was a kid, yeah. And this is documented, yeah. I just was a kid. And 2 years later, I went to prison. So then I got myself into trouble. And then I had to leave the country. So I left very, very early in my life. And I went to study in Iran. I got kicked out from Iran because I didn't fit So I had 1 year left to graduate from the Hausa, which is the religious school where when you graduate, you get the big turban around your head and you become scholar in the Shia jurisprudence. But I got dismissed 1 year before. Then unfortunately went back to prison again and left.
So you went back to Tunisia,
yeah,
and then you got put
to Tunisia, in prison. Then put in prison. Then went back studying, then left the country. I had to leave the country finally in 1990, early 1990. And since then, I didn't return for 21 years.
Wow.
For 21 years, I was exiled. Those 21 years took me to Pakistan, Afghanistan, and I went to Yugoslavia. I was there during the war. So I was inside Sarajevo during the siege of Sarajevo and bombarding coming from all places. Then I managed to leave, went to Germany, then came to UK. When I came to UK, I went back to university. So believe it or not, I went to 6 universities, 6 different universities.
Wow.
Yeah. Graduated from some of them and dropped from some of them. So I wasn't lucky with all of them.
So back to Iran. So
Yeah.
you chose Iran, but why Iran? Was there no other alternative options?
Because there was the Iranian Revolution and we were obsessed with the revolution.
Okay.
And how you can... Usually a revolution is associated with the left wing, so with the communists. That time, not now, but that time. If you are revolutionary, you are seen as you must be a leftist, you must be a communist. If you are a religious person, you are more likely to be a right wing, meaning you are with the dictatorship, with the establishment, so to combine the two, being religious at the same time and at the same time revolutionary, it wasn't common. It was something new. It was enhanced by the Mujahideen in Afghanistan and the Iranian Revolution. That's how we got some kind of confidence. Where shall I go? I'm going to go to Iran, where to learn about revolution and the ideals and all of that. Yeah, so but that took me before. And before of that, I went to Lebanon and Syria during the Palestinian struggle when the 1982 invasion of Lebanon and the establishment of Hezbollah at that time. So I was there. I was unlucky to be there. So
how old are you? I mean, you've been through so much. It seems like
the problem. I started early in my life. And it was packed one after the other. So I went to Syria, didn't like it. Then I went to Iran and so on.
And how many months are we talking? Like each at a go, like 6 months to a year?
In Iran, just 2 years. Yeah, under 2 years in Iran. So I was exempt from 1 year and I took 2 years there and I left before I finished.
So did they teach the Sunni syllabus or Shia syllabus or how did you navigate that?
They have theology, philosophy, and they have comparative religion, but with emphasis on the Shia religion. Yeah.
So how did you what was your standpoint at that point? I mean, at the moment, for Morano, you're Sunni.
Of course I am Sunni. That's why I got in trouble. And
okay, is that what it is? You got in trouble?
That's
because of your Sunni standpoint?
Yes, because that time I don't know how to compromise. So I couldn't compromise anything. And,
wow.
And that led me to confrontation, and the confrontation led me to dismissal.
Wow, and no police were anything involved, right?
No.
Okay, it was just expelled from the university and, you went back to your country.
It's the house, it's the more traditional setting where the religious people come from. It's not your normal university. It's not a normal university. It's the traditional one, which is like 1,000 years old tradition.
And I mean, we're going to move...
It's similar to Dar al-Ulum in Deoband.
So we're going to move away from it very shortly, but I want to just clarify. At what point did you realize, okay, this is getting a bit too much, this indoctrination or whatever you want to call it, I'm not in line with it and, I'm going to confront it. And how did that happen?
No, from day one, from night one. So
really?
Yeah, from night one, I was confronting, so I wasn't really bothered. So, yeah. Wow. So I couldn't accept any intimidation or anything to do with, especially the companions and the Sahaba. I was tough when it comes to that, because the way we grow up in my family, you can't mention the name of a companion with saying master. So we call in North Africa we call Sidi or Sayyiduna. So our master Uthman ibn Affan. So you can't have someone cursing him and you keep quiet.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh wow, that is crazy.
Yeah.
So I mean, since you were born, you were born into a revolutionary family.
Traditionally, because when you have occupation, usually most of the population become rejecting the occupation. But when I grew up, the occupation wasn't there, so we had a dictatorship. So that's what they call it. You're revolutionary against dictatorship. When it is a occupation, more or less we say is resistance. That's why the Palestinians, we don't call revolutionary Palestinians, we call resistance. So when you have occupation, there is a resistance. Resistance is something guaranteed under the UN and international law, where revolution is how you see it. Someone's freedom fighter is for someone else's a terrorist or something like that.
Wow. So as a child, what's your first ever memory? I mean, what do you remember?
A lot to remember.
As far as you go, like, what's the beginning of your memory?
Well, the beginning of my memories is I was fascinated with the Latin Americans revolution. That's what when we started knowing life, we started knowing about the Latin America. That's the biggest inspiration for us. Then there, as I said, the Iranian Revolution and the Afghan resistance to the occupation of the Soviet Union.
Wow. So what was life like in jail? First time, was it age of 18 that you were thrown into jail?
Yeah, I think it's the worst institution mankind created is jail. I think it's the most brutal, is the most inhumane, because you accord someone a non-persona status. You are not a person. You are not a human being. That's what does it mean, jail. And it's the worst institution that mankind created and still have. Maybe sometimes I say if alien intelligence come to our earth and see us having prisons, they think we are not intelligent, and they leave us to our brutality and barbarism. So yeah, it's so bad. Anyone wants to say prison is a good place, I would disagree with. It's not a good place at all.
And does it vary from country to country? I mean, Tunisia it might be different. In another country, it might be different. Maybe in this country, it's probably a bit more comfortable. I mean,
there is no comfortable prison at all, because as a human being, we are born free. We are born free. And what prison takes away from you is your freedom. So you are deprived of your freedom. You are controlled by another man, by another person. And when I say controlled, literally meaning controlled. When you
holding you against your will.
Yes, all the time, 24 hours, over 24 hours. And if you feel it's unjust to do that, it is even worse. How prison vary from another prison is on the humane life, like how much food you get. But that's like animal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you were released first time, how many months were you in prison?
I got 10 months, yeah.
10 months.
I got sentenced to 10 months for disrespecting the dictator. So that's my luck, not respecting the dictator.
Wow. And what did it feel like?
It's so bad, as I told you. I'm not fond of prisons. I'm not proud of any prison.
When you came out of prison?
I continued, so I didn't repent.
Did you feel free, or did you feel?
Oh yes. There is the first night I didn't sleep. I just went to every street to check whether they're still there or not. Yeah. So it's a bad experience. It's not good. I'm not gonna say it's like wow, prison is so good. It's not good at all. How
did you feel when your country put you on Interpol's red notice in 1992?
That's I've seen how the abuse of international law. So the international law is abused. The Interpol red notice it's there for criminals. I mean, those who raped, drug traffickers, and things like that. And clearly says in the constitution of Interpol, International Police, to say that international police, Interpol, should not and must not get involved in political matters, even if it's even if it is armed struggle. You can't get involved if there is a political element to it. But unfortunately, international system is being abused, as we can see today in Gaza.
Did that make you feel angry?
Of course. of course, you can only get angry, and you have two outcomes. Either you surrender and say, you know what, I'm not going to have anything to do with it, or you become more adamant, what happened to me should not happen to others. So you keep fighting it.
So how did you navigate through this whole phase? Or did it ever lift that notice?
Well, I got arrested in South Africa in 2010 because of that red notice on Interpol. And my picture was there on every newspaper, even on motorways in South Africa, man. It's like I became like, I don't know.
Did you know that they were having your posters in South Africa on motorways?
I've been informed, yeah. I've been informed. Because what happened, South Africa is another big episode. So I was kidnapped, not even arrested.
Okay, before we get to South Africa, there's so much more we want to cover.
So as a result of South Africa, and I remember the judge is an white Afrikaner judge, he said, I've sat down in this court for the last 30 years. I've never seen a flimsy evidence. I've never seen a dodgy dossier like this one. And he said to me, you know, Mohamed Ali, you have nothing to answer. Goodbye.
Wow.
Then only then Interpol sent an apology letter to say, it seems this is politically motivated and we removed you. So that's after destroying my life for nearly 20 years.
Wow. So you flee to the UK. Why UK? Why not somewhere else? What was the deciding factor?
Just to draw your attention, my case wasn't the only one. I wasn't the only one. We were like hundreds of Tunisians of the same case. And everyone went wherever they can. So we went to 52 countries. So from New Zealand to North America. So you have all these people. Everyone has a story how they arrived there. It wasn't really like 100% planned. I tried to navigate, tried to look where I can fit better. And
so did you come with your family, or were you the initiator saying, you know what, I'm going to go and I'm going to make that move, and you took everything, you planned everything yourself?
Yeah, then my family, I brought my family with me.
Okay,
yes.
okay. Yeah. What about your other family members?
When I say my family is wife and kids.
Okay.
So we were in Croatia, we were in Yugoslavia.
Okay.
Yeah, so my elder son was born there.
Okay,
Croatia,
so how did that go? You made a decision, now we're going to go to the UK.
Yeah.
What happened since then? What were the processes?
Well, those days you come and just apply for asylum.
You come here?
Yeah, when I'm here, you go to the Home Office and apply for asylum, and you wait for your fate. So I had to wait like 6-7 years just to decide. But I knew at the time things are not going to be smooth. They may take time. So I decided to go to university. Those days, they were very cheap, like next to nothing. They give even grants. So those days were
so
good,
when you left,
nice days.
Did you say Croatia?
Yeah, I came from Croatia, yeah.
Was there no checks and, stuff? Where are you going? Where's your passport? Where's your documents?
Those days, Croatia was a new state because they just broke out from Yugoslavia. And the checks, and you can see the biometric passports, all of that didn't exist at the time. So it was relatively easy to move from a place to another.
And what about when you arrived in this country? What airport did you come in?
Heathrow Airport. I think they were fine. Those days they sympathize more. I think those days you have the Bosnian War, so a lot of people coming from Bosnia. Then you have the breakup of the Soviet Union, the breakup of Yugoslavia, people coming from Eastern Europe, because Eastern Europe was not part of the EU at the time. Sympathy was there. It wasn't this propaganda that is now there. It wasn't at the time. Okay. Although that time, I believe more people were coming here than they are now. But somehow they made an issue out of it, which is not an issue at all. I believe immigration is good. It brings wealth to any nation. And that's why America is great. America is great because it's the land of immigrants. Russia is the wealthiest in terms of natural resources, is the wealthiest piece of land on earth by miles, by far. but it's not the wealthiest country. Why? Because Russia is closing immigration. I think immigration is good. But this right-wing government, the conservatives, I think they are weaponizing it. They are using immigration as a weapon to win elections. And they know, deep down, they know that is wrong.
Wow.
And the sons of immigrants who are stirring up this hatred, from Nigel Farage to Rishi Sunak to Suella Bravesman, all of them, they are not English. All of them. And they're saying, oh, this multiculturalism failed and foreigners and all of that. So it's propaganda.
Do you think these foreigners are being used to do the dirty work, and at some point these foreigners will be said goodbye to? You know, you've done your job, thank you very much, we'll take you back from here.
Well, what do you mean foreigners? English people are foreigners.
Okay.
this piece of land, at least we know it was full of people for the last 15,000 years. At least that's how we can go back and trace. English people, they have been here for just over 1,000 years. That's all. So is 90% of the time there was no English people here. So it's just when you arrived. We just arrived a bit later than them. That's all. So in 15,000 years, they arrived the last 1,000 years. We arrived at the end of the last 1,000 years. So they haven't been here for 14,000 years. So we are as well. So we arrived a bit later, but we arrived on a more civilized way. I arrived by airplane and in a good suit. But they arrived with a sword and horse, and the first thing they did started killing people. So we didn't do that. We arrived, and the first thing we did, we started working. The Pakistanis and Bengalis and Indians who came, they came to build the airports, to build the roads, to drive buses, and to do all of that. So they arrived in a civilized manner, and they arrived to do civilized jobs, civilized work. But if we can take the Vikings, if we take the Romans, if we take the French, the Normandys, the English, the Anglo-Saxons, all of them, when they arrived, what did they do to the Britons, to the indigenous people of this country, of this place? So I don't think this word foreigner. Allah created me, and Allah created the earth, and Allah commanded me or put me to live in this country. I will never ever feel foreigner, and I will never ever make anyone makes me feel foreigner. I think outside the box. I think I'm human being placed on earth, both of us, me and the earth, created by a creator. And they choose to put me there, that's it. Why should I feel I'm a foreigner?
So you're a citizen of the earth, and you could be anywhere, and it doesn't matter where you are.
Yeah. That's the reality of it. If you the big problem they are talking about, immigration, foreigners, blah blah, are in Europe. But most of Europeans, they are living in North America, United States, in Canada, in Australia, in New Zealand. What if all of them come back to this small place?
So
how many blacks living in Europe? How many white living in Africa? More white living in Africa than blacks living in Europe. And they are talking about African immigration. It's not. It's the white immigration to Africa. And when they went there, they enslaved people. And they went there, they subjected them. When black people, when they came here, they were bus drivers and serving.
They were productive. They were doing something.
Productive, yeah. I think we have to set the conversation straight, and we shouldn't be like submissive or in a defense mode. Let's establish. You are talking about immigration. Okay, let's take black and white, Africa and Europe. How many white people are there in Africa? How many black people in Europe? Count. Give me the numbers.
I haven't done the research, so I wouldn't.
Well, in South Africa alone, more than 5-6 million.
Wow.
Just in South Africa. And if you take other places where white people are, the picture is different. In Namibia, in so many places. So that's how it works. Look at the indigenous people of Australia. They became a minority. Look at the indigenous people of North America, South America, all the way, Argentina, all Italians and Spaniards. Where did they come? Came from Spain. From Spain. Why Spain complain about a couple of people coming from Africa? Look, we are a human being. We will keep roaming the world, the globe. We are not going to stop.
So what about,
doesn't matter what they do.
What about Allah? How He created us in different races and different color and different shapes and shades.
Not to put borders and kill each other. So you may know each other, and knowing each other, getting closer to each other, benefiting from each other. That's how it should work.
But now it's being used to kind of divide one another.
Yeah. And by whom? By people who just their father came. Rishi Sunak, his father came here as an immigrant. Suella Braverman, her mother still doesn't speak English. And she said, I've failed. What failed? You are a failure. Not the immigration system. Immigration system is good, is human nature. Never, ever stopped. And it will never stop. Something that human beings have been doing for 250,000 years, since we existed on this earth, is you don't expect it to be stopped by a bill they passed in English Parliament. You're not going to stop the will of God and will of human being by passing an act of Parliament.
Wow. Powerful stuff. Subhanallah. I mean, no one's ever kind of put it in that perspective.
That's how we should put it.
Wow. So you came to the UK, you settled down, and then you brought your family along with you, and then you went to university. You studied geography and politics. Why those two subjects?
I studied from linguistics to electronics. So I studied electrical and electronic engineering in South Bank. I studied linguistics, applied linguistics in SOAS. I studied law at University of Law, and I'm a qualified lawyer as well.
No way!
Yeah, I'm a qualified solicitor. So that's there. I studied everything. I don't care about studying. Really, I study. I'm still studying.
Do you learn fast? I mean, is that one of your thing where you can just take all the information in and you can just learn everything quickly?
You know what? The last 30 years, I always have a student card. Always. I still have one.
No way.
Yes, I'm
so you never stop learning?
Never stop. Because that's the Prophet ﷺ, he said, learning is from cradle to grave. And we have to implement that. Why not? So I will never stop till my last
What
breath.
are you studying now then?
Now I'm doing translation. So that's mine.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is so good, mashallah. Now, being a refugee, settling down in the UK, and in just under 10 years, you launched your first business. I mean, is it first business? I don't know. Islam Channel appears to be your first business according to our research, because there's very little that we can find on you, and we'll talk about that later, why that is. But how did that happen?
I started business from day one, but because I was on Interpol, so I can't register, I can't have bank accounts, I can't have all of that. So I join people. But sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work.
What was your first business? What was your first business?
I've been in property, restaurants, all of that. So I've been active in any business. To me, as a matter of rule, every business is a good business. I'm not picky. But what I do not accept is to sit down and do nothing. Because our life, if as a human being, you are defined in many ways, many dimensions. So one dimension, how tall, your color, where your parents come from. That's one description. Another description, what did you do in your life? Another description is time. So when you go to grave, you get two numbers. When you were born and when you died. That's, if you go to any grave of anyone, you get those two numbers. And what is in between is number of years. Number of years means number of months, means number of days, means number of hours. So really, like Imam Sufyan Thawri says, Ibn Adam innama anta ayyam, kullama dhahaba yawmun dhahaba ba'dak. You are no more than days. And every single day goes, some of you gone. So you have to use that day. Because every day, when the day disappears, stands there, I said, Mr. X, I'm a day, I'm part of you, I'm gone, I will never come back. So what did you do on that day? I think we are here as a human being to use our days in life. When the days are up, finished,
You're gone.
We're gone. The body, the soul, the flesh, the bones, the blood, all goes thrown away because the day is finished. So the day is gone.
As soon as you're dead, you're referred to something else, corpse. You're not.
Your corpse, your janaza.
Yeah.
So the dead body, the janaza, yeah.
So while we're on this topic, quickly, now obviously with the rise of social media and the platforms like TikTok, where time wasting is enormous. People are just sitting there all day long, wasting time. Okay, maybe not all day long, but the free time that they have available. What do you advise your youngsters or your children? I mean, how do we navigate this world where time wasting is encouraged?
Time is precious. Time is the most precious asset you have as a human being. Use it properly. Even social media can be beneficial. Depends what you use it for. You can use all social media as we are using it now. You can use it for something beneficial. If you want to use it, try to use it properly. Try to use it for something to learn. Use it properly. Use it to your benefit, because everything you can use it one way or the other.
How do you control do you use social media at all?
Not much. I do, but not much.
Which one do you use mostly?
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, okay, that's where the business people hang around, yes, and the executives. Yes, mashallah, I have connected you on LinkedIn very long time ago, and alhamdulillah, you are an active member of LinkedIn. And I think I encourage all the brothers or sisters, if they are working or if they're a professional, they should have an up-to-date LinkedIn profile, because that is your CV to the whole world. So no, LinkedIn is very important. Now, talk to me about Islam Channel. How did that come about, and why? Obviously, I know why. Obviously, it's for the good cause, but how?
I think the idea is always there. Everyone knows the benefit of the media. If someone goes on tomorrow and sets up a big newspaper, we know why. If you go and set up a radio station, we know why. But my interest is early days. So when I told you, when in our early days, activists, we used to distribute leaflets, clandestine magazines. We print them. Those days with a typewriter, and we photocopy them.
Wow!
It's not the modern photocopy. Is a machine where you roll it by hand and you put the proper ink. So it's like was that style. So we started early days. When I was in Bosnia, I started publishing a daily news report, and I sent it by fax. So those days, internet was not invented. So I used to send it by fax internationally. So just run down what happened on the day. Then I published the magazine back in 1993. So it's to do with the what's happening in Bosnia during the war for an Arab audience. So my connection to media is always there. Also, I published a small magazine here in London before Islam Channel. So when the opportunity came, we found the license for sale, which we bought it, and someone helped me out to start with the 300,000, which was big money at the time. I started it. Then I realized it's not easy to maintain it. We were about to close down at least in 4 occasions.
Islam Channel, the whole operation?
The whole operation to close down because we couldn't sustain it. But every time Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes a way for us. And we worked hard, and alhamdulillah, it paid off.
What was the worst moment that led to that, say, moment of closure? Because you know what, we're going for a disaster and we're about to close. What happened, and how did you swerve away from it?
SubhanAllah is like, we get, because we don't pay, you don't pay the bills. So if you don't pay Sky, or you don't pay the supplier of the satellite capacity, or basically you don't pay suppliers. So when you don't pay, they send you a notice. They try to reach a payment plan with you. But if it doesn't work, they send you a notice and you say we are closing you down. And in some occasion, they went ahead and closed it down. So we were taken off air, and we were given like a week or so to sort out. If we pay, they put us back. Otherwise, we're gone forever. And every time we managed to come back. Every time, alhamdulillah. Every
What
time.
was the worst one, and how did you come back from it?
I think the worst one of them was with the satellite capacity. So we didn't pay, and out of the blue, someone called me. I said, I need 120,000, something like that, and he said, next hour it will be with you within next hour. I think in 20
So out
minutes.
of the blue, you need that. You desperately need that money,
I desperately
and someone
need
just calls you from the middle of nowhere.
Yes, someone I know, but I didn't speak to for so long. For so long, is here in UK. And I asked him for the money. I said, next hour it will be with you. I think next 10, 20 minutes it was with
How
me.
did you initiate the conversation? Like, how did it go? Oh, I'm struggling.
I'm desperate. I was prepared to speak to George Bush about it. So it doesn't matter. I was desperate. Another time I spoke to another friend, and he said to me, believe me, I needed 180,000. So he said to me, believe me, I don't have a penny. I can't have money. And within like 20 minutes, he called me back. He said, a miracle happened. I said, what? He said, someone owes me 180,000 for the last 5-6 years. I've never heard from him. He said, he just called me up now and said, the money is on its way to you. I'm making it on its way to you as well. So I received that money. So those are like two big moments in my life, in the life of Islam Channel. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So before you launched, did you have to do business studies or analysis? Like, is there a market for it, or you just believe in yourself and you just said, you know what, this is what I need to do. This is the line that I'm coming from, and this is the way it's going to go.
I think it was obvious that is needed. If I tell you we had a market research and the business plan and action plan and what we do now, what we do next, no, we didn't.
It wouldn't have happened.
We didn't have had that, and thanks God I didn't have that, because if I knew what it takes to set up a channel and run it for a year and 2 years, 3 years, I wouldn't have started. So it was a blessing I didn't know, because it wasn't an easy business. It's not anything similar to what I used to do. Because if you had a restaurant or buying a flat, like fixing it up and selling it, and it's not the same, because that money, the price of a full flat, which can take you a whole year to do it up and sell it, and that's the turnaround, is the cost of 1 month. And the money disappears like that, so it's not there. Is if you didn't exist after that, that money is not going to come back. So it's like you are burning money to keep the screen going.
At any point, did you think, you know what? I mean, I'm sure there was many points where you felt like this is just taking a toll on me, or how did you navigate through mentally? I mean, it must have been draining.
It's more than draining, because so we started in 2004, that on the backdrop of the invasion of Iraq, 2003. And in 2004 was the peak of the Iraqi resistance and like all of that. And the 2003 came at the backdrop of the invasion of Afghanistan, and the invasion of Afghanistan is the backdrop of 9/11. So those 3-4 years since 2001, from 2001 to 2004, less than 3 years. On those less than 3 years, so many events: 9/11, invasion of Afghanistan, invasion of Iraq. So it was huge. Then what made things worse is the 7/7 2005, the attacks on the London transport buses, and the horrible terrorist-like attack, proper one, because killing civilians and killing people. And at that time, if there is anything of interest to Muslims, we are Muslim communities with S, plural. That means Bengali community, Pakistani community, Arab community, Somali community. But when there is a terrorist attack, we are one community. You Muslims, stop. There is no communities, no more, no adjective. You Muslims. So that in 2005, if you remember, Sayyid Darsh and Sheikh Badawi, may Allah bless their souls, both of them passed away. They even gave a fatwa for women to take off hijab. and the community felt under siege. I thought this is not right. We are not criminals. We have to come out and speak up. So we organized the GPU, the Global Peace and Unity event, 2005. And that brought the community together and showed strength. That was a moment of trouble for me because I could draw the interest of the media. So at the end of the day, one brother approached me. He said, you know what? Either Ofcom or the Inland Revenue, that time we used to call it Inland Revenue, they are going to come to you. Guess what? Within 2 weeks, both of them came. The Inland Revenue stayed there for a month.
In your offices?
In the offices, looking at every invoice, every paperwork. The questions had nothing to do with money. Is why you're doing this? That's not their business. They are taxmen.
Yeah.
To look, I'm paying taxes or not. But they went beyond that. And then I had Ofcom on the case. So I had both of them. I was under investigation. Then comes the media. The media vilified me. They made me the devil of UK. My picture everywhere. They even tried to get me in undercover. If you remember, the News of the World is disappeared now, alhamdulillah. It was the largest newspaper on earth. 14 million copies a week.
Wow.
They destroyed the lives from royalty to like the manager of England at the time, the football team. They destroyed the lives of everyone. And they came after me. And alhamdulillah, me and George Galloway, and guess what? We unveiled them. And it was the first time in 12 years of their investigative journalism that we blown it up. And they were begging us not to publish the photos of their journalists. And we did.
How did you invade them? I mean, how did you go around this operation?
Because they were after one thing, is to get me to glorify terrorism and get me to say terrorism is good and I'll take money for terrorism.
How were they going to try and bribe you or something to do that?
Oh yes, they offered money. That's how they do. They offered money. With the other ones, they offer them drugs and things like that, knowing that they can't. I've never seen drugs in my life. So what they do, they come with money. So they bribe you with money and they do the recording.
Wow.
Yeah. So based on that recording, if you remember, Victoria Beckham was supposed to be kidnapped by a group of Albanians and they were in prison for 7 months. They were released because of my case. Because we proven to the court that these guys, they are not investigating something happening, they are creating something. And they went to them. They said to them, go and kidnap Victoria Beckham. And they were creating that hype and those stories. Oh, foreigners, Muslims, all of this. You know, when you hear there is they unfolded an attempt to attack or to kill, those boys and those kids, they never planned anything. They come to them and tell them, let's plan it.
Wow.
And they drive them into it. Like Shamima Begum, now it transpired that the poor girl was taken to Syria by the Canadian intelligence service. So she wasn't willing to go. They put the idea into her mind. They took her there and they destroyed her life. That's what's happening. So they tried something with me, but because I had this experience in life and Iran and these places, I have a clear idea. I have a clear understanding of the deen of Islam, of the struggle, of revolution, of all of that. And I've never believed in killing civilians. I've never believed in attacking. I've never believed in betraying. If you are accepted in a country with a visa, with a citizenship, you have to respect, because there is a kind of agreement between you and the host state. And that's why the idea, even if I don't feel I'm foreigner, so I'm destroying myself. This is not enemy land. This is my land. This is Allah's land, and Allah put me here. How can I destroy it? If there is anything, I'm ordered by the Quran to i'marul ard, to build this place. That's what we are ordered to. We are not ordered to do that. How can you attack your neighbor? How can someone sitting next to you on the train, that's your neighbor? And we know what the Quran and Hadith says about neighbors. So they couldn't get me to that. That helped me, that straight belief, clear belief. I told them, what are you talking about? So they tried left, right, and center to get a word from me condoning terrorist attacks anywhere. They couldn't do that.
Hey guys, I hope you have been enjoying today's episode of Side by Side with myself, Kazi Shafiqur Rahman, and our guest, Mohamed Ali Harrath. If you have been enjoying today's episode of Side by Side and the contents, please do consider subscribing to our channel on the platform you are tuned into. It is your subscription that motivates us to keep edging forward, episode by episode. And inshallah, with your support and with you by our side, we will reach the top. With that said, let's get straight back into the show. And then they tried to frame you up, and then you resisted.
Yeah.
Were you a lawyer at that time already?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Did any of these events ever trigger? Do you know what? Maybe I should become a lawyer so I can, defend myself.
Then when they started attacking me in 2008, I started getting involved, started learning, had a degree in law. So I thought, you know what, let me become a lawyer. So I became a lawyer.
Subhanallah. And does that help? Does that help being a lawyer?
Of course. It takes exams and I'll do them. Because I've never considered any type of education as that's not for me. I don't know, whether it's physics or linguistics or electronics or law or language. I feel that I can learn because Allah gave us great minds. We are so equipped. Allah equipped us with great minds, but the perception we have, we convince ourselves that we cannot do. That's not the belief. Because what we are using our minds for is something very silly, very small. But Allah equipped us with a survival machine, with survival tools. All what we need to do is to do the effort and believe in what Allah gave us.
Wow.
Yeah.
How do you manage your emotions? Do you ever have emotions where the emotion is trying to stop you from doing something that you need to do? Yeah. How do you overcome it?
I think that's my weak points, my weakest sides. I'm not strong when it comes to emotions. So
it seems like it comes across as if you're like Iron Man. I can do anything, and I don't have any emotions. I can just put my emotions aside and come back to it later on.
Well, someone came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said he found him like playing with Hassan and Hussein, and he makes sujood and they jump on his back and he's like playing with them, and someone said to him, "Oh Prophet, I have like 7, 8 kids. I've never kissed anyone." He said, "What can I do for you if you have no mercy in your heart?" And the Prophet ﷺ, when his son died, Ibrahim, he cried. He has tears coming down. He said, "Inna al-qalba la yahzan," the heart feels sad. Wa inna al-ayna la tadma, and my eyes is full of tears. But I would say I would say only that pleases Allah. I'm not going to say anything wrong. So that comes the balance that someone have. Because if we don't have emotions, we are not a human being. The Prophet ﷺ had emotion. He cried. He felt sad. He felt all of that. That's the Prophet ﷺ, the strongest man ever walked on earth. Who are we to pretend that we are Iron Man? We are not. Especially if I'm talking about myself, I think emotionally that's my weakest point.
Do you ever cry? By yourself?
Yes.
Like out of struggle, I need to do this and it's not going the right way. Like it puts you in pain.
Endless.
And do you ever feel like after you cried, somehow that help from somewhere comes?
I think, well, what I'm saying is like 2% of what I went through, because I'm
no,
like
I want to hear all these challenges because
40 years of struggle, you can't just have it in
because that's what I want to
But I think the main thing that helped me navigate my life is the belief in Allah. Until today, I still feel that how can someone who does not believe in God and then the hereafter, how can they sustain the struggle? I can't believe. To be honest, if I didn't believe in Allah and the hereafter, I don't think I would be in front of you talking to you now.
Wow.
I would have ended my life long ago.
With all the struggles that you've been through.
Yeah, because you see no meaning for this life. It's only belief in Allah and the hereafter that gives it a meaning. That's where I get my strength, is from this belief. I know that there is someone there who will change things around. All the odds, it's against the odds. If I put 1 + 1 + 1 + 3 + 4, it's not going to work. If I'm going to reasoning, it's not going to work. But when I look at it from the other angle, there is a God, then there is a possibility. Because I move from the world of possibilities to the area of the impossible. And the impossible, who can do it? Is the creator of impossible and possible. So that's the belief in God. The belief in the hereafter, nothing is going to be lost. Nothing. You give someone sweet and they slap you in the face, it's not gonna go to waste. They will get whatever they need to get for it, and you will get whatever you get for it. So that's why it tells you never stop doing good. Don't worry about those who are doing bad. So that's how life continues. Without belief, there is no life.
Sometimes we're living in a world of social media, and it can either make you very big very quickly, or it can take you down very quickly as well. And sometimes people that are doing good, they might feel like, what's the point? Like, there is no winning. You do good and then you still get attacked. What would you say to someone like that? Who's demoted, who's getting demotivated? They've done good, and now they're thinking, what the hell? Like, what's going on? Like, the people that I think should appreciate, they are the ones that are hating on you.
I think if you do good for people, you are a loser. You lose. Because people, they are not thankful to their Lord. How you expect them to be thankful to you? I think if you do good for God,
Subhanallah,
and the word good and God, they come from the same root.
Wow.
If you do for that, then it's not going to be lost. It is either going to come back to you in a form of or another, or is going to be saved for you in your bank account in the Akhirah. That's why it's important to believe in God and the hereafter. It's very important. So you feel nothing is lost. And sometimes, it's good. Better you didn't say thank you. Better. Because I'll save the whole compensation, the whole reward for the day of judgment. And you don't know when it comes. Believe it or not, you will always have it there. Your good deeds will always be a shade over your head. Do good, not because people, they deserve to do good to them, because Allah ordered us to do good.
So if you do good to serve people that would hopefully appreciate, but should you not do that to serve the people that would ultimately, probably some of them will hate you for serving them?
Doesn't really matter. Doesn't really matter. All prophets came to their people to save them, to guide them, but many of them, they killed them. Prophets ended up being killed. So that's normal. That's normal. We hope that we all love to be appreciated. We are a human being, and that's our emotions comes in. But if that does not happen, it's not lost. Never regret being good or doing good. Never ever, because it's not lost. What's lost is maybe a 1%, which is the appreciation of human being. But the real reward is what you get from your Lord on the day of judgment.
Now, before we get to GPU part, because that is a huge part that I have been inspired by. And, we've always enjoyed the event of GPU. It's one of those events, you had a weekend out, and at the end, you feel so sad going home.
That's where you started.
So South Africa, you touched on it a little while ago. How did it happen? I mean, you knew there was posters of you and these people are kind of expecting to, do you over effectively. When you arrived at the airport, what happened? Was it straight from the airport or after you've entered the country?
Well, when I arrived at the airport, they stamped my passport, everything fine, cameras, everything fine, and I left. They arrested me outside. So that's why the lawyers there thought that I was kidnapped, not arrested. So when they took me, they didn't take me because I landed in Johannesburg. They didn't take me to the next police station, the airport police station. They took me to Pretoria. And even in Pretoria, they took me close to an old military airport. So what happened at the time, people, they realized that is a kind of kidnapping. So I had different friends who heard of what happened because I managed to message some people, including Jack Stroh. So he was a minister.
He was a foreign minister at that time. Was he foreign minister?
He was a foreign minister at the time, yeah. So I managed to message different people. And the judge, the brothers in South Africa, they woke up the judge at 1 a.m., got him to the court 2 a.m. in the courtroom. And in the courtroom, he ordered the police that he is in charge of me and should not be moved from any place to another without his permission.
Wow.
Because what happened before, 2 incidents. One incident was Libyan opposition leader was arrested in the same way, taken to the same police station, taken to the next airport, flown to Libya and got killed by Gaddafi in Libya.
Oh my God.
A second one, a Pakistani chap, got arrested, same way, taken to the same place, and he was taken by an American airplane, and they ran off. So the brothers, they woke up the president, who woke up the defense minister and ordered 2 F-16 jets to go and turn back the airplane before leaving South African airspace. And it is a big incident in South Africa. So everybody compared it to that. So they didn't take a chance, and they got the judge 2 a.m. in the courtroom. So from his bed straight to the courtroom, and he gave order to the police and got the police chief on the night there. And then I spoke to some Palestinian friends. It transpired that the security minister was trained by the Palestinians. So the Palestinians who trained them, they called him. So it became like something big. It's in every single newspaper, news, radio stations, and all of that. So then I was released after 2-3 days.
So so the judge at that point, he cancelled everything, all the allegations or all the claims.
No, the judge on the night, he just gave one order.
Okay.
Under the supervision of the judiciary, no more the police involved. The police get out.
Did you leave the country or did you stay in the country?
No, I stayed. Then after 2 days, on that night, so they took off the hands of the police.
Okay.
So the police cannot play games.
Now you're free to kind of move?
Then I'm free to move. And they said, come back after 2 months. So I left the country and went back after 2 months.
Do all of this stuff go on your passport record? Because I know sometimes when the border officers, they look at you and they're like, you could tell like they could see something on the screen. Maybe something is worrying.
It's always.
Is it there? Can the border force
always,
see?
Yeah, always.
Wow.
That's why sometimes we laugh about it with the police officers. Sometimes we have a fight. I had so many fights at the airport.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, what was it like returning back to your country? I mean, was it 20 years or something that you were
21
away?
years.
21 years. What was it like? What was that feeling like? I'm sure you've had so many families who are there.
Yeah. When I went back, so if you left someone like 3-4 years old, you find them 26, 27 years old. Both my parents died when I was away. And not only I was away for 21 years, but for 15 years, I had no connection whatsoever. They don't know anything about me. I don't know anything about them. Because those days, there is no mobile phones and all of this.
Wow. So they thought you disappeared and you're gone.
I disappeared. To me, they disappeared. So I don't know. I think when I went back, I couldn't fit in. It was too late. The people I know grown up, the grown up ones died, and it was too late in life. It's like I don't belong anymore.
You belong more in this country than...
I don't know. I belong to the earth now.
Subhanallah.
Yeah.
So you received also £140,000 in libel damages after you were labeled terrorist by a website. How did that go about? Did you pursue them? Did you actively go out and put a lawsuit on them?
I think it was common. It became common. Whenever my name mentioned, it is always mentioned convicted terrorist. So always my name is mentioned like that. So I thought enough is enough, and I have to take someone on. So I took one of the biggest Zionists, known Zionists, like hailed in by the BBC, Telegraph, and Channel 4, and all of them as the expert on the Islamism, terrorism, and all isms, all of that. So I took them to court. They were so arrogant. They were so arrogant. And funny enough, my dissertation was on defamation when I did law at university. So I did my dissertation on defamation. So I knew a bit about the defamation law. So I took them to court. When I applied, so because it's a civil matter, so you say which law and what damages are you asking for. So if you ask up to 10,000, you pay £500 court fees. Anything above that, you pay 10%. So if I ask for 100,000, I have to pay 10,000. I don't have that kind of money. So I had to limit it to 10,000. And they were so arrogant. And the way they treated us is like unbelievable.
Or the Zionists?
Even their lawyers.
Okay.
Their lawyers, them and their lawyers. Like, who are you? We will crush you. So I went to the High Court. And the judge looked around and he said, usually if you ask for compensation, you get awarded maximum the amount you asked for. But 99% of the time you get less because people, they tend to exaggerate. Oh, I'm asking for 100,000, they give you 70,000 or 60,000. Yeah. But he said, if I'm going to give you a 10,000 award, this is not fair. Because you've been blamed to be a terrorist. And he said a terrorist is someone who is willing to take the lives of innocent people. How can I? And he asked the barrister and asked us, do you know any case law, any other judge? We looked around, we called around. No, none before. It wasn't there before. So my case, it became case law in English law. So now if you go to university and study defamation law, you study my case. So I contributed to the law as well.
Wow.
Yeah. So the judge, he awarded me 140,000. But unfortunately, they didn't pay.
No, they didn't?
They didn't pay. He ran away to America. So I had to go to court again. And I got the court to sentence him to 21 days in prison for contempt of court. That was reversed by the Court of Appeal. But can you believe it? From 2015 till now, we're still in court.
Oh, it's still ongoing?
Still 2024, we're still in court.
Do you represent yourself or do you take a barrister or something with you?
Sometimes, depends. Sometimes I take a barrister, sometimes we go by ourselves. But most of the bulk of the work, we do it ourselves.
So, for example, me, I'm getting defamed for whatever reason. How do I go about, seeking justice?
Litigation and defamation is a very niche market, and it costs hell of money.
Yeah.
So what they bank on, if I'm a big newspaper, I'll defame you. Okay, you want to challenge me? You want to take me to court? Try it. You go. And you start spending money. 50,000, 100,000, 200,000, 300,000. They know people, they can't afford it. That's why they get away with murder. So the law came and said to lawyers, they said to them, if you take it no win, no fee, you can ask for double your money. But recently, they changed the law again. You can't ask for double your money. You can ask it from your client. but you can't ask it from the other side. So they are like encouraging defamation, if you can see, because the lobby of newspapers lobby and the media lobby, and we know who is defaming everyone else. Their lobby is very strong, and they are changing the law. So the problem with the defamation, yes, you can sue people, but it's so costly and it's so lengthy. Is unless someone is prepared to spend money, that usually we don't have that money, and you are prepared for a long fight.
Wow.
Yeah.
So for that reason, many people just get shafted. I mean,
many people, they just let it go. That's what I did since 2007 or 8. So I only took them up on 2015.
So what did you do? I mean, do you say your name is clean now, or do you? I mean, if someone
my name is always clean.
It's always clean. Okay, Alhamdulillah,
Yeah.
for sure. I should reframe. So false allegations, lies, slander, defamation was made about you. Now, how do you go about clearing it up? Like, on this website, that website. How do you go and remove it?
Now, no one can say that because I have high court ruling. So it's not like anyone. It's a high court. It's like a book. My case, because it's a case law now, so it's like full book, because lawyers, barristers are using it now. So to use it, you have to know from A to Z. So the judge, the high court judge, Sir David Edie, he knows he's going to be is a precedent. He's setting a precedent. So he justified it. He wrote a lot about it. You can have a dissertation about it.
So
I'm sure many people, they will do masters.
If you turn up with it to a website, this article is listed on your website, and there's a judgment against it. Can you remove it? Would they remove it? They have to remove it.
They have to. If they don't remove it, they can go to prison.
Wow.
For contempt. Because you go to court, you get ordered to be removed. If they don't remove it, it's contempt of court. Then the problem is not with you. Then the problem is with the respect of the judicial system. Because there is no country then. If the court tells you to do this and you say, no, I'm not going to do. The court are very aggressive about it as well. They send them to prison straight away. So never mess around with courts.
Wow. Do you believe in justice system?
Of course, we have to have. There is one of the names of Allah is the just, is the justice.
Do we have justice in this world though?
Is relative, because we will never ever be able to have full justice. So someone kills someone, all you can do is you kill that person, is sentenced to death. But what if someone kills 100,000? What if someone kills 1 million? What if someone kills 2 million? What if someone kills 15 million? The only thing you can do is sentence them to death. So in the face of it is not justice, because you having the same punishment for someone who killed 1 million to someone who killed 1. But the real justice is in the day of judgment. That's why Allah is the just, because He's able to revive that person 1 million times and punish them 1 million times.
Subhanallah. Now, talk to me about GPU. I mean, it was the favorite event, I'm sure, for so many people up and down the country, across the globe. And one thing I've noticed, Mr. Ali, is you think big. Like every time, so we went to your office in Bun Hill Street, or whether it's in Ilford now, everything is big. You go large. I mean, what is it? Is it a frame of mind, or is it something strategic to help something else in your business? Is it to maybe employ better people? I mean, what is it where you go big with everything?
Muslims should think big. Muslims, the Prophet ﷺ, under siege in a small town, Medina. And by the way, Medina in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, all of it is inside the mosque now. The Prophet's mosque now is the whole Medina at the time. And he was telling his companions who did not have food to eat for 3 days. And it was so cold and didn't have food to eat for 3 days. He said, Allahu Akbar, you are gonna liberate Persia. You are gonna go to Rome, the Byzantines, what is it? Today's modern Istanbul and modern Turkey. So he was telling them that. If you look at it, it's crazy, isn't it? Like you don't
have food to eat.
You don't have food to eat for tonight. And you are saying, I'm going to invade. Persia is an empire, is the empire at the time. But that's what happened. The people that the Prophet ﷺ were around him is Khalid ibn Walid and Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas. They went inside Persia, and Muawiyah went to the gate of Istanbul, of Constantinople at the time. He reached the gate. And Ayyub al-Ansari, who was an old man, he died there just outside Constantinople. If you go to Constantinople now, there is a whole region called Sultan Ayyub in Istanbul, because he died there. He was over 90 years old. So those are the companions of the Prophet ﷺ. And they went all over the place. Why? Because they have that belief. So I think my advice to Muslims, because whose backing are you getting? If you are getting the backing, if you believe you are getting the backing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then the sky is the limit. Even sky is not the limit, because Allah, there is no limit
infinite.
to what, is infinite. Yeah. So aim high. My advice to every Muslim, aim high.
Is there a logic to aiming high though? I mean, there's always element of fear.
Aim high and be reasonable, take practical steps. Don't be like, I'm aiming high. No, you have to have a plan. Think big, but act reasonably. Like have properly managed, properly studied steps. You have to know what you are doing.
Wow.
And you have to be dedicated to what you are doing. You have to believe in what you are doing. If you don't believe in it, it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen, absolutely. So I've heard somewhere from someone that you can assess someone when you're interviewing someone within a few seconds.
Well, you get that comes to, I think I'm not the only one. That's experience in life. So experience in life, you can see what people
do you wait for energy or some kind of a vibe?
No, there is no vibe. I don't have any of that. Yeah.
So you look at them, or you can just read them instantly.
Well, I call it experience in life. So when you are old enough, you're still young, so you may have that experience. Yeah.
Do you have a formula to hiring? Because every time I've been to your offices, you've always had amazing. I mean, what appear to be amazing people, and some of them are still with you till this day.
I look for potential in people rather than what they are. I look what they can be rather than what they are now, because the potential is unlimited if you unleash that potential in the person. Because so many people, they are so brilliant, but the only thing, they didn't have the chance. They did not have the chance to unleash their potential. Just give them the opportunity to unleash their potential, and you will see.
I mean,
so I'll only look for potential.
You've touched so many people's lives through your channel and through your events, and we are an example of you touching someone's life. For example, I think when was that event? I think it was one of the probably last events of GPU. We came to you and your office, and we pitched to you, we're Sunnah Mosque, and we're trading market stalls, and we do this and that, and GPU is too expensive for us. Can you sort something out for us? I know you got in trouble later on by some other competing stores because they found out how much we got charged. But subhanallah, look, if you didn't bank on us at that time, maybe our route would have been different, because GPU was one of the most successful events at that time, and we were there and we did trade, and alhamdulillah, you did help us out.
So am I eligible for a perfume then?
Of course, absolutely. I mean, you can take one every month if you want, no problem.
Congratulations. I think Sunnah Mosque is a clear example of thinking big. I mean, usually people who are selling perfume and oud, they have a small stall outside the mosque, and that's forever, for life. To turn that into a brand and to turn that into stalls inside malls and airports and different places, that's amazing. MashaAllah, that's amazing. I commend you.
Alhamdulillah. Now, GPU, I mean, that's a huge undertaking. I mean, I've heard that you don't really make money from it, or I mean, why do you do it?
We usually make loss, so we never made money. So we make loss. That's why we didn't do it for a long while now. But it is a must. It is we have, because you bring Muslims together, you give chances to upcoming artists, you give chances for people to network, to meet up, for businesses. It's like a festival where we need some joy in our life as Muslims. So that's what we are providing. I think we must
How
do
much?
it.
How much does it cost one of these events? I mean, roughly.
Well,
The scale that you used to do it. I mean, getting Imran Khan from another country. There's singers from America, Canada, from all across the globe.
we get more than 200 people from overseas.
Hotel, flights, accommodations.
All of that. And the venue itself.
What are we talking,
And
roughly?
Is well over $1 million. So 1.3, 1.4.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is absolutely crazy. When is it happening again?
Inshallah, 19th, 20th of October this year.
So you've got a fixed date, and
fixed date, 6 months time. We are there.
6 months time.
Yeah.
That's no time.
That's no time. We are late April. In fact, less than 6 months.
Wow. Now let's end it with the very current subject, which is Palestine, the world against Islam and the Muslim. I mean, where are we going? I mean, where is this all heading? I mean, what can we expect in the next 5 years?
I think Palestine is a huge issue, and it will be. We don't do justice to it if we are gonna have like a couple of minutes at the end of our discussion. But Palestine is not 7th of October. It's not like 2 months or 6 months ago. Palestine is a matter of over 100 years. Is a more than a century old problem. When the Zionists decided that they have to take over Palestine, and they started planning for it. And the plan was to evacuate people from Palestine, kick them out, and replace them with other people. That's the injustice in Palestine. I think until the Zionist ideology is dismantled, there would be no peace in the Middle East. No peace unless the Zionist ideology is dismantled. And I have to be clear, Zionists and Judaism are not the same. I would say, as Alan Hart put it in his book, Zionism is the bitter enemy of Judaism. Jews are normal people, like everyone else. There are good ones, there are criminal ones, like Muslims, like English, like anyone, like any people. Judaism as a faith is one of the Abrahamic religions. The Prophet ﷺ got married to a Jewish woman, and she's the woman who gave him his son Ibrahim. Safiya, described as the mother of the believers. She used to say, I'm the descendant of a prophet and the wife of a prophet. She's the descendant of Moses and the wife of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So that's Muslims. We can't be anti-Semitic because that's a crime. However, Zionism is the cancer of the international politics, is the cancer of the Middle East. Unless Zionism is dismantled, there would be no peace. Wow. Yeah.
And how does one dismantle this cancer?
I think the academic work, the getting people to know the reality, countering the propaganda, the Zionist propaganda. That's the way. That's the way. We have to counter the Zionist propaganda, and believe it or not, the main contributor to dismantling Zionism are the Zionists themselves, because they are killing people. They are killing people. They are declaring their supremacy. They are threatening people's lives to the extent everyone is saying enough is enough. Everyone now knows what is Zionism. It's an evil ideology. And it was like that until 1992. It was voted by the UN as a racist movement. And it was considered by the United Nations as a racist movement until 1992, when they removed that. So the United Nations that represents the people of the world did consider Zionism as a cancer, did consider Zionism as a racist ideology, and rightly so. We have to consider it, and we have to make people aware of it. And I think it is only time, it needs time, But the Zionists are speeding up the process. Zionists themselves, by the killings, look, now is over 40,000 killed in Gaza, another 10,000 under the rubble, 75,000 injured. That's more than 1 in 20. 1 in 20 Palestinians in Gaza got killed or injured by the Zionists.
Ya Allah, that is... Wow, I hope the help of Allah also comes sooner rather than later. What would you tell us Muslims? What can we actively do? I mean, where do you see, where are we going wrong? Are we going wrong? And what can we do to correct our course and really maybe look at ourselves before blaming others? You know, you've done this and you've done that. What can we do to change our course?
I think as Muslims, we have to be Muslims. If we are Muslims, then we know how to conduct ourselves. I think our struggle is to be real Muslims, how to conduct ourselves, how to behave, how to be good, how to be example in the society, whether in the intellectual life or in the business life, how we conduct our business. Do we conduct our business in a truthful manner? Do we conduct ourselves in the streets in truthful manner? That's what is required from us as Muslims.
Now, normally we end our sessions with a quick fire. So be as brief as possible. And my first question is, what is your greatest fear in this world?
My greatest fear is living this life without having a positive impact.
What's your favorite Quran reciter?
You. You're one of my favorite ones.
Now you're gassing me up. Come on, like
Sheikh Hudayfi is one.
Yeah, I like him too.
My favorite. Yeah.
What's your go-to comfort food?
Biryani.
Biryani, really?
Yeah, lamb biryani.
No Tunisian food?
Well, I'm Asianized. So I'm an Asianized person. I think lamb biryani is my favorite, yeah.
MashaAllah. Last book that you've read?
I'm reading Mr. O'Brien's, what's his name?
Is it James O'Brien?
No, I'm reading the, sorry, my memory is not that
Okay, the
straight.
last one.
So is Why the West Got It Wrong About Islam, the Abrahamic Fate, is by Peter O'Born. Sorry, my good friend actually.
Wow.
Peter O'Born's book. I'm reading it now. So Peter O'Born book, The Fate of Abraham, Why the West Are Wrong About Islam. That's my last book.
And your favorite hadith?
إنما الأعمال بالنيات وإنما لكل امرئ ما نوى. So,
wow, I love it.
Yeah, so it's your deeds are with your intention, and you get reward as your intention. So we have to always purify our intentions.
Amazing. It's like a satellite in your heart, and you cannot do this or that, because this niyyah is getting counted. It's I really also think a lot about the niyyat or niyyah as we say. Mohamed Ali, my inspiration, as I said right at the beginning.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, so ever so much for making the time for coming into the studio. I know you have a huge, studio where I'm sure you would have rather had this interview, but thank you for accepting my request. And, in order to keep the consistency of our show as well, you've made all the effort to come down. Jazakallah khairan. And I'm sure our guests, our viewers will enjoy this episode, and I'm sure they will take so much away, so much of knowledge, wisdom, and experience from this episode. So Jazakallah khairan.
Jazakallah khair. My pleasure.
And that's it for today on Side by Side with myself as your host Kazi Shafiqur Rahman and our guest Mohamed Ali Harrath, the founder of Islam Channel. If you have enjoyed today's episode of Side by Side, please do comment below, share with your family and friends and anyone that you may think will benefit from this episode and its contents. Of course, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel on the platform you are tuned into, as it is your subscription that motivates us to keep edging forward episode by episode. With that said, I will see you next time. Until then, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.